When I first noticed the shift, I told myself I was imagining things. My husband, Nathan, and I had been married for 5 years, and while our life wasn't perfect, it was stable. We lived in a modest house in the suburbs, where the air always smelled faintly of freshly mowed grass, and our evenings were filled with quiet companionship. But then my sister, Emily, came to stay with us for a while, and everything changed. Emily had always been the golden child. Even at 29, she carried an air of effortless charisma. Her laugh was infectious, her smile radiant, and her energy magnetic. She had moved back to our hometown to take up a job at a nearby publishing house and needed a place to crash while her new apartment was being readied. Of course, I offered our guest room without a second thought. After all, she was my sister. Family. At first, Nathan seemed indifferent to her presence. He was polite, cordial even. But as the days turned into weeks, I began to notice small things. The way his eyes lingered on her a second too long during dinner. The subtle shift in his tone when he spoke to her. Lighter, more animated. The way he laughed a little too hard at her jokes. One evening, while cleaning up after dinner, I saw it. Emily had dropped a napkin, and Nathan reached down to pick it up. Their hands brushed, and for a fraction of a second, his expression softened in a way I hadn't seen in months. My chest tightened, but I pushed the thought away. Surely I was overthinking. Weeks passed, and the nagging feeling in my gut only grew stronger. It wasn't just the looks or the laughter. It was the way Nathan seemed to find reasons to be around Emily, helping her fix her laptop, offering to drive her to work when her car battery died, or lingering in the kitchen while she made her morning coffee. One night, as we lay in bed, I decided to confront him. "Nathan," I began, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside me. "Do you think Emily's been here too long?" He turned to me, eyebrows furrowed. "What do you mean?" "I mean, it's been almost 2 months. Don't you think she should start looking for her own place?" Nathan's face hardened. "She's your sister. She's going through a lot right now. Don't you think we should support her?" "Of course, but..." I hesitated, choosing my words carefully. "It feels like she's becoming a little too comfortable here." He sighed, turning away. "You're being unfair, Lydia. She's family. Why are you acting like this?" The conversation ended there, but the distance between us grew. The breaking point came on a rainy Saturday afternoon. I had gone out to run errands, leaving Nathan and Emily alone in the house. When I returned, the sound of laughter echoed from the living room. Peeking through the doorway, I saw them sitting on the couch, shoulders almost touching, engrossed in a board game. Emily threw her head back in laughter, and Nathan's face lit up in a way that made my stomach churn. That night, after Emily had gone to bed, I decided to look through Nathan's phone. I hated myself for the invasion of privacy, but I needed answers. My hands trembled as I scrolled through his messages. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary until I opened his search history. Signs of emotional cheating. My heart stopped. I stared at the screen, the words blurring as tears filled my eyes. Was he questioning his feelings? For me? For her? The next morning I couldn't hold it in any longer. "Nathan," I said, cornering him in the kitchen. "We need to talk." He set down his coffee mug, eyes wary. "What's going on?" "I've noticed the way you look at Emily, the way you act around her. Tell me the truth. Do you have feelings for her?" His face paled, and for a moment, he said nothing. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, he said, "I don't know." The words hit me like a punch to the gut. I staggered back, gripping the edge of the counter for support. "You don't know," I repeated, my voice shaking. "Nathan, we're married. How can you not know?" "Lydia, it's not like that," he said, reaching for me. "I love you. I'm just confused. She's easy to talk to, but it doesn't mean I don't love you." I pulled away, tears streaming down my face. "You need to figure out what you want, Nathan, because I can't live like this." Emily moved out the next day. I didn't tell her the real reason, only that Nathan and I needed space to work on our marriage. She looked hurt, but she didn't argue. Nathan and I started therapy shortly after. The sessions were brutal, forcing us to confront truths we had been avoiding for years. I learned that Nathan's feelings for Emily were less about her and more about what she represented. A sense of freedom and excitement he felt had been missing in our marriage. And I had to face my own insecurities, my fear of not being enough. It took months of hard work, painful conversations, and rebuilding trust, but we eventually found our way back to each other. Nathan cut all unnecessary contact with Emily, and I learned to forgive, though it wasn't easy. Our marriage isn't perfect, but it's stronger now. We've learned to communicate better, to prioritize each other, and while the scars of that time remain, They serve as a reminder of what we've overcome.